Hi everyone, and thank you very much for joining us. For those people that are dropping in, we're going to be doing an update on the horrendous and devastating landslide in Phuket overnight. Now, on the TNT program this morning, we just had the first bits of news coming through, and we reported at the time that there was one person dead and other people missing, but of course we were fairly sure that that number would increase. Now, if you can imagine the hills in Phuket, they're quite steep, and in a place like Karon, which is a beachside village down the southern end of the island, you've got the beach area, then you've got the main road, then you sort of got the cheaper hotels behind that. Then it starts rising up into the hills. Now, there have been some very expensive and very exclusive condos and private properties built up on those hills. It's also an area where there's quite a lot of migrant workers who can't afford to live down in Karon and Kata, so they sort of live up in makeshift huts up on the hills. Some of them are sort of using sort of half-built or half-constructed properties as they live in them until they finish them and pass them over to the owner. So you got this area just sort of above Karon where there's been quite a lot of development. Now, what of course happens with these hills is as you start cutting into the forest and the jungle, you're really cutting into the foundation that holds these hills together. And you can see from some of the photos, I've got some photos coming up in just a moment, where this mudslide has started at the top of the hill. You can imagine it gathering speed, just abolishing everything in front of it as it makes its way down the hill, gathering speed and then slamming into anything at the bottom of the hill. And yeah, this has caused all the destruction. So let's go to some of the headlines that I've got. This is from Phuket Go. Their headline, latest 8 confirmed dead in devastating Phuket landslide expected to rise. So this story was posted around about people will be messaging me, won't they? Where can I read that? Sorry, just trying to figure all this live stuff out. Go to... This is what happens when you rush on. We'll do our best to find this. Anyway, we'll sort that out. So yeah, this was posted around about 3 o'clock this afternoon, so it's about an hour old. Now, we do imagine that these numbers will likely and sadly still increase. So let's go to the story. And it says the current death toll for the Karon landslides in Phuket has reached 8 officially, but it's feared that it will rise as the recovery and rescue efforts continue. It's reported the dead include 3 Burmese, 3 Thais and 2 Russians, according to Phuket Hot News. And I have to congratulate both Phuket Hot News and also Casualty English for their excellent reporting on this particular matter. Phuket Hot News, which comes out as a website, and also on their Facebook page. Casualty English, obviously somebody on the ground here in Phuket, feeding them through the latest information. The mudslide hurtled down the hill above Padak Soi 2 in Mutu, in the Karon district, above the Wat Kiti Sangkaram. The avalanche of mud started at the top of the hill, flattening jungles that gathered speed, heading for the houses below. Locals say they heard the thundering sound of the landslide around 5 a.m. this morning. That picture pretty much says it all. You've got the tower at the top of the hill, and you can see the mudslide starting at the top of the hill and hurtling down. And even at the bottom of that picture, we don't show the extent to which that landslide just cut a swathe through the hill, just demolishing the jungle and all the undergrowth as it made its way down the hill. Questions, of course, will have to be asked how stable that hill is, given that there's quite a lot of other residences up in that area. And authorities, considering that it's quite a big tourist area, will have to be thinking long and hard about what they're going to be doing with the other residents and the properties, some of them luxury properties, that have been developed at the bottom of these mountains. Just going further into this story, And apart from the dead, there are also several people injured and others still reported missing following persistent but not heavy rain last night. And around dawn, we've found out that was at 5 a.m. A mudslide started at the top of the hill, gathering speed, then hitting houses built along makeshift roads overlooking Karon, one of Phuket's most popular beach resorts. Officials report that some 200 millimetres of rainfall was measured in the area overnight. Many of the dead are Burmese migrant workers seeking cheap accommodation in the hills above the town. 250 residences have been affected by the devastating flood so far. Now, that's not just in this landslide area. This also includes parts of Chalong. Both these areas, Karon more popular with tourists, Chalong more of a residential area on either side of this large hill. Basically, these hills cut the island in half, but both Chalong and Karon are on the southern end of Phuket. Rescue and recovery efforts are continuing with the Department of Disaster and Mitigation, along with local volunteer rescue groups under the direction of the Phuket Governor. Here's a map which basically shows you the yellow circle are the houses on this Soi Patak 2, and they're sort of about as far up the hill as you can get. But you can see either side there are also other properties on the hills, at the lower part of the hills. And it's probably, I don't have a scale there, but I'm guessing it would be around about 2 kilometres from there as the crow flies to the Kata Beach area. So it's an area called the Karon district, but the area it's happened is above Kata. Now, where we go, let's just go a bit further down here. On a related story, the road and part of the foreshore reserve have collapsed due to heavy rain in front of the Kata District Hall and the Super Surf Kata. The Super Surf Kata is one of these artificial wave makers, a very expensive piece of infrastructure privately installed by a big Finnish company from memory, and that has been a great location for them as they look pretty much right across the beach. There's parking there. A lot of people access Kata Beach at that point, just in this area. A food and beverage outlet for the Beyond Kata Resort that overlooked Kata Beach, and that's this area here, has also suffered some damage. The corner was a popular access and car parking location for people heading to Kata Beach. We can see that that part of the road has completely vanished, and you've got some 2 or 3 metres of, land sink, I suppose you'd call it. But that area did have a sort of a concrete retaining wall, and now it looks like that road, a lot of the infrastructure, the understructure has just washed down onto Kata Beach. Now, I'd probably like to take your comments. However, I don't, unless my phone is going to help me, have a way of seeing your questions and comments. That, by the way, sort of concludes our update. I was just going to take some questions and comments. How do I do this? Tim Newton today. Here we go. Videos live. Just excuse me for a moment while I get my shit together. Here we go. I should be able to see this. What do I do? Do I click on it or do I press that? Okay, this doesn't work. Okay, I'm still mucking around here trying to sort this out. I can't see your comments. So there you go. Hopefully you're up to date. And now we are going to be going live tomorrow morning where I'll have the proper setup and I'll be able to take your comments, go through your questions. But anybody who has made a comment or question, thank you. I'm sorry I can't see them because I'm not sort of set up. I've just made my way outside, set up the Mac and tried to bring you this information as soon as I could. Otherwise, we have to say that apart from that rain overnight, and it wasn't particularly heavy. I mean, 200 millimetres is a lot of rain, but that was probably over a 6-hour period. But as it was continuous, and I think this was the big problem. It just kept on falling, and it just slowly eroded away that hill above the township of Kata in the district of, I sort of call it Kata Karon. But the maps show exactly where it happened. So it is the people above Kata. Just very quickly see if I can access your comments. Press YouTube. Does that do anything? It does absolutely nothing. Yeah, I've already got my shit together, haven't I? So we will be live tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll have an update on this story. Also, the latest in the search for, basically the bodies of the 9 people that perished in that flight from Suvarnabhumi Airport. They were on their way to Trat in a Cessna caravan. I think it holds up to about 16 people. There were 9 people on board, including the passengers and the crew. And they were only into about 10 minutes into the flight, and there was some obviously catastrophic problem with the aircraft, and it nosedived basically into a swamp at Cha Chung Sao, about 10 minutes flight south east from Suvarnabhumi Airport. Thanks for dropping in. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with that story. Devastation in Phuket. At the moment, 8 people dead, and we probably expect a few more by the time we get to our program tomorrow morning. Thanks for joining us.